Good evening, everyone. All right. Thank you, AI. It's great to see everyone. Happy Chinese New Year, Valentine's Day, President's Day, February, Black History Month. It's been great. I hope everyone is doing well today. I am excited. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda, but we have a bunch of resolutions that I hope will have us have some spirited conversations and so forth. So glad people are here, and I hope we're all ready to chat at this meeting. We're going to go ahead and do roll call now.
Aldana,
Present.
Erickson, Johnson, Kachuk,
Present.
Menina,
Present.
Minerby,
Present.
Pope, Quadri,
Present.
Robati, absent, Salas,
Present.
Wong, Young,
Present.
and Lee. Chair, you have quorum with 12 members present.
All right. So from my understanding, the fire department just got a call, and so they are not able, unfortunately, to join this with us. Do we have police from District 1?
Sergeant Choi from District 1.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead.
So this is the stats for January and February. So in January, motor vehicle theft, we had 6. In January and February, we had 4. So went down 2. So District 1 encompasses the Chinatown, if you didn't know, Chinatown, Kakako, Ala Moana, the Convention Center, and going up Mauka. Burglary, last month in January, we had 1. This month, February, we got 2. Theft, last month, we got 6. This month, we have 7. And for unauthorized entry into a motor vehicle, which is breaking into cars, last month, we got 2. And this month, we got 1. So down 1. So our district is focusing on the residentially challenged people and complaints that we had regarding the sit lie where they're blocking the sidewalks. Our officers has been enforcing those, whether it's verbal warning or citations. Any questions?
So you gave us some February stats. Are those from February 1st to February 23rd?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much for including the February stats. That's helpful. Are there any questions?
Yes, you're welcome.
Here from the board or online? Any community questions for Sergeant Choi? All right. Thank you so much for coming. Again, thank you for the recent stats, and thanks for reminding us what the board boundaries are. I did want you to, if you could elaborate a little bit more about what you're doing with the sit and lie stuff. You mentioned that you guys were enforcing it, but are you trying to do more of these interactions, or what's happening here?
Yes. So so for those individuals who are violating the sit-in law, our officers offer them the HONU program, which is the shelter. They also, if they need any mental issues or any type of drug issues, the officers would, forward them to the right direction, which is HONU, Queens Medical, or just if they are sick or injured or any type of medical issues, officers will address that and call an ambulance if needed and transport them over to Queens for treatment.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that, and we will see you next month.
Thank you.
All right, Lieutenant Nishimura.
Hi, good evening. Lieutenant Nishimura representing District 7, East Honolulu. The following are the statistics for the month of January. Motor vehicle theft 8, burglary 3, theft 20, UEMV 9, with total calls for service in District 7 at 5,804. Our safety tip of the month is to avoid scams. Recently in the news, you've heard about the DMV scam that was going about. If you haven't, that is where you receive some type of a text message or call or some kind of communication saying that you have outstanding violations and you need to pay a certain type of a fine. That is a scam. The DMV will not do that. Other types of scam are individuals posing as law enforcement, and they may be saying you have an outstanding warrant or you have some type of violation that requires payment. Law enforcement will never conduct any type of enforcement that way. So those are a scam. Also, other common scams you may hear about or you may experience yourself are sweepstakes, where you are promised money, but in order to obtain that amount of money, you must pay some kind of amount that is given. And usually they're going to be like some kind of online or some kind of or via wire transfer, something like that. So those are all scams. If you are in doubt, you have any questions, please call 911, request and have an officer come and meet with you so they can go over and look with what you might be receiving. So we can resolve it that way and you can pass that information on. But that's our report for the month. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions for Lieutenant Nishimura? All right. I'm not seeing any questions for you, Lieutenant, so thank you very much for coming. I did want to ask if, like Sergeant Troy, if you're able to give stats for the current month that we're in, maybe not tonight, but for future meetings.
Sure, we can work on that.
I really appreciate that. Even if it's just like a day or two before, it's still really helpful just to have those. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great
All
evening.
right. Okay, we're going to move on to our board business and presentations. And we're going to hear from Chick-fil-A, which is going to be opening across the street from the convention center in a couple weeks. So go ahead and come up. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. And I think, yeah, Curtis will get this.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kurt Milne. I'm the current owner of Chick-fil-A in Al Moana Mall. As you know, we're getting ready to open a new location at 1837 Kapiolani, which is on the corner of Kawakawa and Kapiolani. I've been with Chick-fil-A since 2022 when we opened up our first location in Al Moana Mall.
Kurt, can you pull up the mic closer to you?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Right, hold it if, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. And thank you guys for letting me come and present today. I really appreciate it. Gotcha. All right. As I talked about, I'm the local owner of Chick-fil-A Al Moana and the Kapiolani and Kawakawa. You can go ahead and hit the next slide. All right. So wanted to share a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Moved out to Hawaii in 2002. That was straight out of high school. I came out here to attend University of Hawaii. Actually played football there from 2002 to 2007. When I graduated University of Hawaii, I started my first business. It was called Aloha to Go. It was a restaurant delivery service back in 2007. And I started that with one of my former teammates. So I've been a local business and owner here in Honolulu for about 22 years. And back in 2016, me and my former business partner won the Hawaii SBA Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. Go ahead and go. Want to tell you a little bit about Chick-fil-A and the humble beginnings. You can go ahead and hit the next slide. So our founder is Truett Cathy. We are a family-owned business. Right now, we are on our third CEO. His name is Andrew Cathy, and he's a grandson of Truett Cathy. So they're keeping it in the family. Anyway, in 1946, Truett opened Dwarf Grill in Atlanta, Georgia, close to the airport and the Ford factory. And this was the start of what we now know today as Chick-fil-A. And next slide. It was in 1964 where Truett Cathy created the QSR, quick service restaurant chicken sandwich. Usually chicken sandwiches take some time to make and cook, and he came up with the pressure fryer and the idea of cooking chicken in a much shorter period of time. So in fact, Chick-fil-A was the inventor of the quick service restaurant chicken sandwich. And then go ahead to the next slide. And then in 1967, Chick-fil-A opened our first location, and it was actually in Greenbrier Mall, one of the first quick service restaurants to go into the mall. In fact, we started the belief system of, hey, people don't go to the mall just to shop. They can actually come and get a quick bite to eat and stay shopping for an extended period of time. So in fact, not only did we help create the chicken sandwich, we also introduced the idea of the potential now what we know now as a food court. And then in 1986, we opened our first freestanding restaurant, also in Atlanta, Georgia. Now we are over 3,000 restaurants in the continental US. We just opened in Puerto Rico, Singapore, UK, and Ireland. So now we're going international. Go next slide. And then just a quick quote from our founder, Truett Cathy. We should be more than just selling chicken. We should be a part of our customers' lives and the communities in which we serve. As a local owner operator, we definitely believe in this, as well as all the rest of the local owners now in Hawaii. I want to give you a little restaurant overview. So as I mentioned, it's going to be on the intersection of Kapiolani and Kalakaua. We're looking to open in early April. This location will not have a drive-through, so it's a large dine-in restaurant. We're going to feature mobile pickup and third-party delivery from this location. We have a large dining room, and then really unique, we're going to have a dedicated event space inside the dining room as well. So the whole restaurant seats about 200 seats on the patio, the event space, and the dining room. Our vision here in Honolulu is to be Honolulu's most caring company by having a positive influence on our customers, team members, community, and everybody that we come in contact with. So just not our guest on our lot in our restaurant, but actually when we go out beyond our four walls and in the community. With this new restaurant comes good economic impact. We're going to hire 100 new team members. Currently, we have a great leadership development and advanced opportunity program. So in fact, from our current pool of about 65 team members at Ala Moana, we've had 15 team members go through this leadership development, and all now will become a part of our leadership at our new restaurant. We also do annual team member scholarships, and then we're also going to have partnerships with local vendors and service providers. So a cool fact, in 2025, out of our 5 Chick-fil-A restaurants out here, we awarded 30 scholarships to team members, about $61,000. And our community commitment. So one of our biggest commitments is we do a Chick-fil-A Share Table program. Our Share Table program is Aloha Harvest. And what it is we donate excess food from the restaurant on a daily basis. Aloha Harvest comes by and picks it up, and they repurpose that food to feed our homeless. We also have leadership programs for local high schools and middle schools. Right now, Kapolei High School is participating in that program. We also do fundraisers for nonprofits, youth sports, things like that. That could be an in-store fundraiser, or we can go outside the restaurant and do a fundraiser in the community. Obviously, being from UH and a former athlete, we support our UH athletes. Not sure if you guys have heard of the Brotherhood Sisterhood, but that's where we feed our athletes during off season, so we participate in that. And then just highlighting again our event space availability for meeting and community groups. So we want to invite the community into our restaurant to have space in our event space, which we know is at a premium in Honolulu. Next slide. So our commitment to McCully and Mōʻiliʻili, we're here to stay. We want to have long-term local ownership, which is myself. I want to remain open to communication. I want to be responsive to community feedback, and want to be dedicated to being a good neighbor. What I wanted to highlight here is our parking lot plans. As you can see, I know it's kind of hard to see, but Chick-fil-A is right there in the middle with the red text. Our parking lot is attached. So we'll have a parking lot, obviously, at our location. It's going to have 50 stalls. We're going to have a 60-minute parking limit. This way, it's designed to have a quick dine-in and mobile turnover. We are in the process of finalizing a deal for an additional parking lot, which is directly across the street. It's 1810 Kapiolani. That lot will have 37 stalls. That would also have a 4-hour parking limit, so 3 hours longer than the lot on our lot there at the restaurant. We are going to have that lot for event room guest is across the street. We're going to utilize that for peak hour overflow in case that our lot is full. We're going to have parking attendants redirecting people to that lot so we don't have queuing into the street. You can go ahead and hit the next slide. So opening week, we have contracted with our local police department. We usually open on Thursdays and we're closed every Sunday. So we're going to have our police presence out there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're going to do intersection monitoring, congestion management, and enforcement of traffic rules. We plan to place them at both of our entrances on Kawakawa and Kapiolani. We also have partnered with Grand Valet to be parking attendants. If you guys ever went to Daiso, that's that company. They go ahead and queue cars, have people wait on the side, get them into a parking spot and limit overflow traffic onto the street. So we have partnered with them. We're going to have 3 parking attendants at peak times. Go ahead and go on to the next one. So this is our traffic flow strategy, if you can tell. So we have strict no right in or right out turns. So this is for Kapiolani and Kawakawa. There's no left-hand turns, which is indicated by those green arrows. So the idea is if you're coming down Kapiolani and you can't make the left-hand turn into our lot, you can't do so because we have installed triangle curbs. So it makes it hard to make a left-hand turn. The police presence is going to help educate the community, no left-hand turns. And people can conveniently make a right-hand turn into our 1810 parking lot and simply walk across the street. It's about a 1-minute walk. And we will have entrances on the backhand side of Chick-fil-A for those guests walking across. Same thing goes for Kawakawa. So once you cross over Kapiolani, there's no left-hand turn. You're going to have to circle back around. So we're going to educate our guests to make a left-hand turn into our additional 1810 parking lot there. Also, if the parking lot becomes overfilled, our parking attendants will meet the guest in their vehicle right at the turn-in of our entrance and ask them to just go ahead and go across Kapiolani, park in that additional lot, and they go walk in the back. So we have some overflow there. Once again, 50 parking stalls on our lot and 37 parking stalls across the street. And our operational commitments, we want to actively monitor traffic patterns. Obviously, we want to make sure that we midstream adjust if we see any unfortunate situations. We're going to continue to work with our HPD partners as well as city officials if we have any issues that do arise in the first few weeks of opening. And we are willing to adjust for sure. And then our commitment to the community, we want to make sure that we're operating safely and responsibly. We want to minimize neighborhood disruption, and we want to maintain efficient traffic flow. It's important for us to be a long-term positive partner in the community. Any questions, comments? Happy to answer.
Anyone on the board with any questions? Daniela?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I have a few questions. This structure used part of the existing one, right? And then there were addition and perhaps some demolition.
So we are using the current structure. We didn't make any modifications except for cleaning up. So we didn't add on any square footage or remove any square footage. We actually kept the parking lot and the layout all exactly the same.
Okay. Can I have a more question? Okay. Now about the product that you are offering.
Yes, ma'am.
Chicken, bread, and maybe some other item on the menu. Are they organic?
Yes. So we actually use no hormones, no antibiotics, all breast white meat fillets. So we do that for our chicken sandwiches as well as our nuggets and everything like that. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for this question, but I love this community. And you want to be friendly with the community. So how do you source this chicken from this island?
How do we source the chicken?
Yes.
So actually, unfortunately, all of our chicken is actually shipped in and from the mainland, unfortunately. Just because of our volume and our current partnerships, we do have restraints of who we can partner with for certain products and things get
No,
approved.
yeah,
The only
I-
thing that we do source locally right now is local tomatoes, but our supply chain department is constantly working on seeing what we can get locally.
And another question, if you could choose, or if this project allows, what kind of customers do you envision that come to eat that food? Are they student? Are they, with this has to do with the affordability for the customer.
Yes.
And the other one is who works in this type of business, which are always
Yeah.
very, but what level in the organization do they need to reach so they can afford housing and to live here?
Sure, absolutely. So predominantly our team members, I would say, is an average age of about 17 to 18. We have mostly high school and college students. Our starting pay is $17.50 an hour. In fact, it's been that way for the last 3 years. We have plenty upward mobility. There's probably about 7 different titles you can move through. Having such a young age of kids, it's important to always give them something to work towards, and every promotion's at least $1 up. I would say at the peak of our leadership, we easily pay about $80,000 for managers a year.
Thank
And I
you.
think that's a pretty good livable wage.
Thank you. Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure, ma'am.
All right. Who else? Hilani?
I have a question. Yes.
Yeah. Hi.
Thank you for coming and presenting and introducing yourself to all of us. My name is Mōʻiliʻili. I had a couple of questions. So I really like the fact that there's right turn only.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I think that was a big concern when I heard that you're going to be coming here. Because I'm
Correct.
thinking of Beretania's location.
Yes.
So was the reason for there being no drive-through because of what happened on Beretania?
So, kind of my role, I'm more of an operator is the best way to think of my role. And our corporate office handles most of all the real estate deals, the civil planning, the building permits. So all that was actually done before I was even selected. So the root of the issue, I'm not 100% sure, but I know Chick-fil-A worked with the state and the civil planners, and that's what they came up with. Yes.
Thank you. I have another question and then some feedback after.
Yeah.
And then you talked about how there's a lot at 1810 Kapi'olani.
Mhm.
So I think currently is just like a vacant gravel lot with we have like
Correct.
buses. So are you guys going to be doing any improvements to that?
That
site?
is yet to be determined just because we are in the final stages of getting that approved. To be honest, I was hoping to have approval today. And speaking to our corporate realtor, he says he would probably have good news for me the next day or two. Once we get good news on that, then we're going to talk to our general contractors. I know the first thing that we talked about is definitely lighting and signage. And then it just depends on what the real estate deal is. It actually is the same owners as our current lot. So what we're hoping to do is at least get a 1-year contract right now on that lot, see how the first year goes, and then go ahead and redo the overall contract and put it in the one contract for both lots, at least for the next 10 years after that.
Okay, I'm just curious because I know since we're not having any left turn lanes into the new Chick-fil-A where the coffee shop used to be, but I'm thinking if people are going to be turning left from, what is that, Kalakaua
Yes.
into the lot,
Right.
or left from Kapi'olani into the parking lot.
Right.
So.
I did not actually think, I'm hoping nobody tries to take a left from Kapi'olani. And that's a good point. Somebody probably
They're hungry.
could, but we're hoping that they don't. But we'll help educate the community about that. And then also speaking about that 1810 lot, I have spoke with the company that rents those tall poles with the police light and the cameras. So we're definitely opening with that. And I think it's a minimum of a 3-month contract. One, it brings safety to the area, but also it brings awareness to that lot. So we're definitely going to do that for the first 3 months, and we'll see how things go after that.
Thank you. And then one last comment.
Yes.
So this is also probably for everybody too. This month is Hawaiian Language Month. So if I can just bring to the intentional way that we can everyone can work on our pronunciation of Hawaiian language words and the street names. So Kalakaua, right? And then Kapi'olani, and then just the Mana'o and those people is that was our last reigning king. And then Kapi'olani was his wife, and that's Kapi'olani Park. So maybe that's something you can work on with your staff. Is,
Absolutely.
bringing life to those names with pronunciation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from people, from board members here? Or board members online? Okay, go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. I wasn't clear from your map. What is the exit?
Laura, can you
pat-
introduce yourself?
Okay, I wasn't clear on your map. What is the exit pattern and what is the circulation pattern as you loop around or whatever? So the exit pattern also has to be to the right. And can you explain that a little more?
Yes, ma'am. So, yep, perfect. If you can just bring that back up. Absolutely. So, it's definitely going to be right hand only. So you can see what we're trying to attempt on the lot is a one-way direction around the lot that will keep traffic flowing. And that's part of the parking attendance. And then we actually have an escape route, obviously at the top right of our parking and then also at the bottom left. So it is right out only. Unfortunately, if you do want to go left on Kawakawa, you won't be able to do so from the top of the map there. You would have to come out on the bottom and go out of Kawakawa Avenue. And maybe just go across Kapiolani and then go down a little bit and could probably go left through Don Quixote or something to that effect, I would imagine so. Because to be honest, it would be quite difficult to have somebody take a right-hand turn out of the bottom of the map to get all the way over in the third or fourth lane to make a left-hand turn onto Kawakawa. And that's what we're hoping our police presence helps educate some of our guests early on.
All right. Are there any other questions? Kurt, I don't think you told people the date that you hope to be open by.
We are hoping to open April 2nd.
So is that Easter weekend, I think? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
April Fool's right before, so I'm sure we're going to fool some people as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much for sharing and appreciate you coming to the meeting and making yourself available.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. My pleasure. Have a good day, guys.
Okay. I think Kara has some handouts for people. All right. While that's happening. Where did Justin? All right. Justin is supposed to go next. I don't know where he went. I will assume he's going to come back. So Daniela, if you want to go, you can go. Yeah. Justin is probably going to give his presentation, but you can go first. All right. Justin is
Excuse
back.
me. Justin, your turn.
It's your turn.
Apologies, Chair. Just to clarify, where are we at on the agenda?
It's up to you.
Oh, thank
We're
you.
about to do your resolution.
Thank you. And thank you, Chair Lee and members of the Neighborhood Board for entertaining my resolution opposing City Council's Bill 17 related to affordable rental housing. Apologies, I need to catch my breath, but I also hope if folks forgive me in advance from reading off notes that I took on the bus. This resolution that I proposed to this committee, to this neighborhood board, respectfully opposes Bill 17, a measure that would effectively end the Bill 7 housing program. As presently crafted, Bill 17 makes significant changes to the city and county of Honolulu's affordable rental housing program. These changes will either restrict, reduce, or terminate existing policy carrots for prospective home builders, housing, which would provide much needed housing to McCully, Mōʻiliʻili, and frankly, beyond. Next slide, please. Oh, apologies, Curtis. Next slide. While waiting for a slide change, I just want to comment that if something isn't perfect, you strive to make it more perfect. Oahu, as of a Hawaii Housing Authority Corporation's analysis, experiences approximately a shortage of 25,710 units. This present shortage, to borrow a phrase from the early 20th century, calls for, quote, bold, persistent experimentation. We need to expand the scope of and reach of programs like Bill 7, which provide much needed affordable housing, as dare say the city's most successful program. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. Next slide, please. Just for context, Bill 7, which was established by City Council several years ago, was a smart response to this reality, to our persistent, everlasting affordable housing crisis. It identified narrow sweet spots where apartments could be made to pencil through height flexibility, development standards, and relief and cost certainty, i.e. in parcels of land that would sit vacant and fallow and provide housing to communities. Bill 17, however, dismantles this solution. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Justin, can you explain some of the terms that you're using? So pencil through. And when you're talking about development standard relief, cost certainty.
Yes, so penciling through is in parcels where a low to mid-rise can be integrated seamlessly or as seamless as possible into a community through through gentle height density and through parking on-site parking flexibility, and then development and then cost certainty. So, which I'll elaborate more further through tax incentives or through offsets or expedition of permits. Thank you. ROH Chapter 32 of the City Council was designed to accelerate affordable rental housing by decoupling height restrictions from restrictive underlying zoning and allowing projects that historically in communities like McCully, Mōʻiliʻili had mid-rises, low to mid-rises, to reach up to once more again reach up to their traditional height densities where appropriate, of course. Bill 17, however, reverses this by restricting height back to underlying zoning of that, to be frank, that agencies such as Department of Planning and Permitting find untenable. High flexibility is not a giveaway. It is, in fact, the mechanism that makes affordability feasible. Reducing it means fewer projects, fewer units, and, frankly, slower delivery, which in a state, again, experiencing housing crisis cannot sustain. Next slide, please. Apologies. May I go to the next slide? I want to be concerned with time. So in brief, Bill 17 would propose to eliminate property tax exemption eligibility for Bill 7 affordable housing projects, and removing them raises long-term operating costs, undermines underwriting assumptions, and jeopardizes financing and overall prevents projects from moving forward. Next slide, please. And just to reiterate, I think, in my personal opinion, our community, which has longstanding welcome working middle class people, is welcome to affordable housing where we can work collaboratively with the city and county and public and private developers where appropriate. And particularly in a community on an island community where we face, again, over 25,000 housing units shortage, Bill 7, despite certain flaws that should be and can be readily amended and fixed, is the most promising way that Honolulu can address this dearth of income-restricted housing. Bill 17, frankly, moves us backwards. It restricts incentives, removes financial tools, and slows production without offering an alternative strategy to address some of the systematic problems of Honolulu's zoning code that makes building apartments infeasible and will continue to accelerate the average cost of new units of nearly $1 million a year for households. Rather than improving the system, Bill 17, to be frank, will make it more difficult to build housing, reduce affordable rental options, and increase housing costs for residents, particularly middle and working class residents. Thank you for your time.
Hey, do we have a motion to discuss this resolution? Chris?
I motion.
All right. I'll second. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Justin? All right, go ahead, Adendra.
Thank you for your presentation. There are a few points that you make that imply cause and effect that I don't understand the underlying logic to, and frankly, I think the research isn't there. So I think while you suggest that removing tax exemptions increases costs for working class folks, I don't know that the research shows that. Instead, maybe I think what's happening is that our failure as a community to protect rental units being sold to folks who live off
Okay, thank you.
off island is maybe the issue. Bill 7 would extend or would maintain the original sunshine law until 2030. And I think we've seen that buildings not being built are not, we have not built as many buildings as we thought we would. And we cannot explain that because of a lack of a tax exemption. So I guess my question is, what about thinking about protecting current housing, and what role does that play? Current housing.
Thank you for your question. And in advance, apologies if I may diverge for a moment.
Justin, why don't you go up there and speak? That way you can address people a little bit easier. Yeah. And you can leave the mic here.
Thank you. I think the question is twofold. And first, I will try to answer in terms of respect of existing housing, protecting existing housing stock. I wholeheartedly agree that units should and must be protected, particularly from onerous exploitation and seeing valuable housing stock and units as speculative real estate and assets, particularly from to be candid, out of state investors. I think that is an underlying issue that is affecting both affordable housing units and new apartments such as Kule Place, or if we see in Kakako, once the promised herald of working class housing now turn into a playground for $700,000 studios. With Bill 7 projects in particular, the one particular foundational benefit is many of these units are protected at between 80 and 100% AMI or annual median income and below. Unfortunately, there is also truth to that. Bill 7 projects are suffering from long-standing implementation. Like, we're not constructing these units as fast as we need to. And I think, if I may say, that's a question, that's a very reasonable question and pause for concern that needs to be addressed explicitly to the city and county's Department of Planning and Permitting, DPP. I am not an architect or one involved in real estate, so I can't comment why that process is taking long. A combination, I can only speculate, is from extensive permits, many of which I assume exist in good faith, and other aspects in that cost of constructing units is particularly very expensive in Hawaii, particularly if you're a small developer. I think in Kailua, the developer of 330 Kule Place had to engage in significant financing and operate on a marginal surplus of revenue just to maintain that project's existence. I think with what Bill 17 proposes would instill so much restrictions and obstacles that what little opportunity arises for Bill 7 projects is completely unavailable, and thus it makes the system irrelevant and collapses upon itself. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yes, and to be fair, I didn't have a great question. I went around in some circles. I have another question that hopefully is clear. So we talk about, or you talk about in the presentation, that height restrictions and underlying building codes are almost frivolous. However, those building codes exist to help maintain the general public safety and the infrastructure that currently exists. If the water system cannot maintain as much water going in and going out with a building that's 60 feet tall, it's not going to, the infrastructure is not, we're putting more pressure on the infrastructure, I suppose is the point that I'm making. And I would like to believe that building codes aren't frivolous, that they were planned and serve a purpose of making sure that the resources can be spread equally around, right? Like water, like electricity, all of those things. And so I'm worried that the narrative in the media of like piling on DPP and all of the red tape. I mean, there are lots of people who thought intentionally about creating this structure to begin with. And I am not so concerned about giving tax exemptions and tax breaks to developers for them to build their building. Or in the example in our own community of Mōʻiliʻili Place, you have a bunch of mid-level homes where families are displaced. And then what goes up, this super tall building that gets to be as tall as it is because of something like Bill 7. And I think most of us in this room were really upset when that happened. And so I am going to vote against this resolution because I believe that underlying infrastructure does serve a purpose, and it's only 3 years. So hopefully it's not groundbreaking to allow it to expire.
Chair, may I respond? Thank you. I would like to just note that Mōʻiliʻili Place is not a Bill 7 project, and that the annual median income from there exists between 120 to 140% of annual median income, which if you're a dual income like myself and my husband, is around at least, you need to earn $100,000 in net income per year. To clarify on my perspective of permitting, and apologies in advance if I wasn't, for lack of clarity, what I was referencing was not in respect to utilities such as water, electricity. Specifically, to be grossly simplistic, much of the urban fabric of urban Honolulu, particularly along South King Street, McCully, Mōʻiliʻili as a whole, was of gentle density height. So between 3 to 6 to 7 stories at most of many apartments. You can see this in historical photography of South King Street, for example. What happened was beginning in the 1950s and through the 70s, due to specific adoption of American continental urban zoning codes, many of these parcels of property as they became old and were torn down, did not become viable, particularly because of the installation of parking mandates. So an example is for 10,000 square feet of a residential or commercial space, it needs 8 to 10,000 square feet of parking space. That doesn't sound like a lot until you know that a single surface parking stall is $15,000 to $20,000. So this bill, there's a lot of questions regarding and concerns regarding parking mandates with Bill 7 projects. I don't really have the exact knowledge to elaborate on that, but I just want to note that in particular, it's just providing flexibility for developers. And I think what I see it as it's allowing community who cannot live in Mōʻiliʻili, Mōʻiliʻili to be able to live with here again. It's allowing a chance so they're not constrained and they have to live outside urban Honolulu or living in the suburbs where that may be the most affordable option, but then they have to go through the significant traffic congestion. And that's just my quick response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Justin, earlier you mentioned something, the number 25,000. What was it referred to?
That is according, I believe, to the Hawaii Housing Corporation's analysis from 2025. That is the outstanding need for housing units in Honolulu.
Okay. Could we have also the vacant unit that we have that are not rented for whatever reason? We could analyze that because there are a lot of vacant units that are not rented, and that has to do with issues of how to control rent.
Certainly. I don't know the exact numbers offhand. I think a few years ago it was around 4,000 to 5,000 units within Honolulu specifically. Personally, if you were to ask me if to offset that egregious imbalance, I think one of the cleanest solutions is to place, this may be controversial to some individuals, but enhance property taxes, like how in Vancouver they experience significant housing crises. Of course, we do have council members, not to specify who are against such measures, which would be a very simple, straightforward solution at negating that.
I just want to make sure that we're keeping our discussion to the resolution. In the sense of there's so many things to talk about with housing, and let's talk about it all year, but let's just keep this to this. So is there any other board members with questions for Justin? All right, go ahead, Adinda.
So your resolution suggests that if we support it, that we as a board are giving you the permission to provide written testimony to represent us in front of City Council.
I had written that as an initial, but I'm happy to revise that. So it can be the chair or vice chair who has that authorization. I selected it because we do have a neighborhood board transportation committee, and my assumption was in lieu of a land use subcommittee for the neighborhood board, a transportation committee operating within the nexus of land use and transportation could provide that subject matter expertise to the city council. But I'm more than happy to refine that to make it more, much more accessible.
All right, who else has questions, comments?
Okay, focusing only on the bill, I promise. Yeah, so there's a sentence here where you talk about how we are against removing exemptions for wastewater system facility charges. And I just believe that if you're going to build a building, that you should be responsible for making sure that the wastewater is accounted for and paid for and intentional.
I will need to follow up, if I may. I'm more than happy to follow up with you on that, the specific granular details on where that comes to play. I don't believe Bill 7 actively makes wastewater treatment solutions non-existent.
No, but Bill 17 wants to remove the exemptions. Thanks.
Okay, Laura?
Yes, well, I'm all for affordable rentals, housing of any sort. What she was saying about infrastructure is ever so true. The building on University Avenue has no parking at all designated. Where are they going? They're having to rent from the temple next door, which is the temple was outbid by them. We're talking about a form of greed that's here, of what happens when people, even if they're small developers, get into the business. If you had Habitat for Humanity, possibly it would be a different story, whatever. There is no suggestion that the water or sewage or any of the other things are going to be carried out by this if there's no parking at all. It looks like an OCCC building, you know, or even worse than that probably. But I just feel that I go back to the models that under the Fosse administration did for all of the Chinatown infill rental housing that he did down there. And I think you'll find that there's a better answer that's there that will work. It apparently worked with the infrastructure, and it apparently they're all very full and happily renting down there too. So I think that would be a good start.
Justin, I have a question for you. What are the types of buildings that Bill 7 makes possible? Like, what's the maximum size of a building that you would be getting from a Bill 7 project?
Thank you, Chair. Generally, it's within 5 to 15,000 square footage. So example I cited was 1756 Algaroba Street, which at a traditional basis would only be able to accommodate one single family home. That particular parcel of property is now able to provide, I believe, 25 units ranging from studios, majority studios, to 1 to 2 bedroom apartments.
So it's not going to be a Howard Hughes type building that we're talking about.
No, that would not be physiologically possible.
Okay.
But I think it could be, right? Which is when developers get exemptions for height requirements, that's why we end up with Howard Hughes tall buildings, because we are giving them quote unquote incentives under the guise of affordable housing so that they can ignore the underlying building codes. So if in our neighborhood we say you can only build up to 150 feet, and then we say, actually, if you give me 10 affordable housing units, you can build up to 300 feet, we get the 300 feet.
Thank you. No, 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 no. This is a that's an interesting question. To clarify, um, the permission for high density is not ad hoc. So counterbalance to say, I'm going to make a hypothetical example. A Bill 7 project at 60 feet, it could build no more than maybe 7 to 8 stories. So I think that's another 10 to 20 feet. The reason being is that it's counterbalanced by the requirement for either a compact elevator unit, which can only go up so high, many stories, or it's a stairwell unit, like an old duplexes that we have here within the neighborhood. Particular projects like Aeo and Kaka'ako, with its 370 feet height, has to have significant structural investments that would not be within the realm of scope for this project, let alone the physical space. Just to clarify, I think the question is, a lot of the concerns for Bill 7 projects is aesthetics. I can't necessarily comment to that. I think Bill 7 can be enhanced with greater requirements for developers to ensure buildings have more beautification, such as street trees, on-site decorative artwork or murals, not necessarily having physical omission. Like any developer has to give and take back, has to have a give and take relationship. But I think the developer in this case should be able to give more where they can, particularly if it services community aesthetics and just general well-being and happiness.
Adindra, do you have one more question? All right. Go ahead, Allison, and then we're going to go ahead and vote.
Hi, Allison Peterson. I will say that I'm not familiar with either of the bills, but I just had a question when you talked about the type of units that could be built. You said majority would be studios. And I think I read an article about there's one of the buildings, the new buildings across from Ala Moana Shopping Center on Kapiolani, and it was an affordable housing type that was for sale, and that they weren't selling because people didn't want studios. They were looking for larger, 1-2 bedroom units. I mean, has anybody done any kind of research as to what's in demand? What do we need?
No, thank you for your question. I know which project you're referring to. I cannot recall the name offhand. That one was more so the problem that it's a 2-tower unit across Ala Moana. The affordable housing project was unique in that it had a leasehold where if someone bought, they cannot sell it for 30 years. I have very mixed slightly leaning ill feelings toward that type of restriction for housing projects. I think higher home vacancy taxes or other financial disincentives are more applicable to reduce solving part is one solution, one part of our toolbox to solving our housing crisis. I believe AARP did an assessment, I think 5-6 years ago, that found most married couples without children or singles generally go either for studios or 1-bedrooms. I don't have the name of the report, but I'm happy to follow up with this committee, with this neighborhood board and the members of the public on that information.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I know, again, there's more to say, but let's go ahead and I motion for us to vote. I will motion to adopt the resolution, and I don't know if anyone is going to second.
I second the resolution.
Second by Medina. Roll call vote. Aldana.
Nay.
Nay. Erickson.
Aye.
Aye. Johnson. Johnson. Nay. Pachak.
Abstain.
Abstain. Menina.
Aye.
Aye. Manerby. Nay. Pope. Abstain. Quadri.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Robati. Absent. Salas.
Abstain.
Abstain. Wong. Nay. Young.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
And Lee. Lee. Aye. With 5 ayes, 4 nays, and 3 abstentions, the resolution has not been adopted.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Daniela, you are up. It'd be helpful for you to explain exactly how this differs from your previous one.
I guess most of you saw my previous presentation of November about the condition of the McCully Bridge on the Alawai and my concern for the safety of pedestrian, electric bicycles, scooters, bicycle, I said, wheelchair, whatever, given the fact that that sidewalk is used by all of them, although there are 2 bike lanes, one in the direction of, toward Waikiki and one from Waikiki toward McCully. They are not used much. The reason for them, particularly the one from Waikiki to McCully, the bike lane is dangerous because it's between 2 car lanes. So when the bicycle turn, have to cut through 1 car lane.
Okay.
And the pedestrian, the sidewalk itself is very narrow. It has about 9-10 obstacles. So,
Daniela, I think that you did a really great job in the presentation last year.
Okay,
with
I
all
don't
the
need to
pictures.
repeat that. Very
So
good.
just tell us what's new.
So the new things is that I maintain all the same concerns and I removed my previous calculations and pointing out that widening the McCully Bridge would be cheaper than a new bridges on Alawai. That part has been removed, and you can all see. So I left only my concern for the safety of what I just mentioned. Therefore, it be resolved that the segment of McCully Street and McCully Bridge between Kapiolani Boulevard and Alawai be redesigned in compliance with the complete street program with a wider sidewalk and a new bike lane. And be it further resolved that the neighborhood board number 8 send this resolution to the appropriate city council official and request city and county response in writing. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions or sorry, a motion for us to discuss this resolution? Okay.
I motion to adopt the resolution.
And I'll second that. All right. So who has questions for Daniela?
I don't have a question, but if we do adopt it, there's a typo in the first sentence. The D is missing in Diamond Head, so we'll want to add that.
This one, can you tell?
All right. Other questions about this resolution or comments? I know we had a pretty good discussion about it a couple months ago, so there may not be a lot of stuff to go over here. I don't know if there's anything from DTS's presentation that may illuminate anything here. Okay, go ahead, Laura.
Yes, I asked Steve, who's not here tonight, about information on the from the Board of Water Supply about the 2 pipes that go across to serve Waikiki. Not serve us, but serve Waikiki. And that means they are not necessarily serving anybody on the McCully Bridge either. And basically what he said, that they're going to go through some structural supports because of the latest one is very heavy. And if you've walked over the bridge, besides all of what Daniela said about the structures in the middle of the street, walkway and bridges and bicycle lanes, that there is that graded structure that is right outside the actual bridge and is wide enough to make a very easy bicycle and pedestrian walkway with very little money, and it can be very easily done. The bridge itself is not historical. 1958 was the first, but it's been added to 92 and so forth. So there's no concern about having any historical review of it at all. So just it's a very easy fix. And what she's suggesting is make it safe, make it easy for people to come and go. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. All right. Well, I guess we already motioned to adopt, so we can just do a voice vote. As opposed to doing a voice vote. Okay. I mean, I'd prefer to do a roll call since last time I didn't.
Okay, this is a roll call vote on a resolution requesting the widening of sidewalk and new bike lane on the McCully Street Bridge over the Alawai Canal. Aldana.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Johnson. Kachuk.
No.
No. Menina.
Aye.
Aye. Minerby. Aye. Pope. Quadri.
Aye.
Robati is absent. Salas.
Nay.
Nay. Wang. Aye. Young.
Aye.
Aye. And Lee. Aye. On a vote of 10-2, the resolution has been adopted.
All right, let's continue to move on. We'd love to hear from you now, Chad. You want to come up?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chad Wasden. I'm from the Diamond Head Kapahulu board, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about something that I think is really exciting, actually. If you don't know much about our local airspace here, we have no local control over it whatsoever. Anything that's in the air, like a commercial jet, military jet, tour helicopter, it is all governed by the FAA, a federal agency that really doesn't. They're pretty much based out of the west coast of the mainland. They're not really out here. So they're taking on a wild project. They are going to modernize the airspace over the entire country, and they're going to start with Hawaii for some reason. So I guess we don't have to wait so long for these improvements to be made. But they are actively seeking comment from just about everybody, like commercial airliners, the military, tour helicopter operators, and us people on the ground. How is like the flights affecting you, your quality of life, your family? So they're taking comments from everybody until March 15th. So we've just got a few more days to get our comments in. So with prefacing that, I'll kind of walk you through the flights that might be affecting your neighborhood the most. So can you take me to the next slide, Curtis? Thank you. Yeah, so this is from a little free app. It's called Flight Aware. It's free, download it, you can play with it. Whenever you see a plane going overhead, like, ooh, where's that plane going? Where's it coming from? You can tap on the plane and see where it's going. This is just a random Tuesday, and you can see there's quite a bit of planes overhead already. So let's zoom out one more slide, Curtis, next slide. If you just zoom out a little bit, you really can't even see Oahu anymore. It looks almost like we're under attack, if you ask me. But I think you can see, you'll see some of those lines in the sky. It's like they're almost following like a pre-dedicated path, right? And I'm going to kind of walk you through the names of some of these. Next slide, please. Probably the biggest one, this is the main arrival in from the mainland. It's called the Maggie 3. And the Simon 1, it comes right over our heads before landing at HNL. And I'm not sure why they routed it like that, but let's look at the next slide. So that's the app I'm telling you about where I'm getting all these flight paths from, the Flight Aware. If you want to download it and play with it, you can see a lot of the same stuff that I'm talking about here. Next slide. So there's like highways in the sky, and unfortunately, a lot of them go right over our neighborhoods. We're kind of almost in the crosshairs of everything that comes in and everything that comes out. Let's look at the next slide. These are probably the 3 biggest flight paths that affects this neighborhood. This is the inbound, the Maggie 3, the Simon 1 in blue, and the outbound, the red, that one's called the MKK 5, and the PLAY 3, that's the outbound from HNL. And then another one that a lot of neighborhoods are really up in arms about is this one called the freeway route in green. That's where a lot of these smaller kind of inter-island planes, they'll follow the H1 in and out of HNL like at all hours of the night. I've been over to the Kaimuki board talking about the same thing, and their residents are all up in arms about some cargo plane that comes over at 3 a.m. or whatever. So, but you can see they're all converging kind of right over our neighborhood. Next slide, Curtis. We just talked about, let's do one more. That is I got this from the FAA themselves. This is the freeway route that little planes follow. So if you live anywhere near the H1, you're probably seeing these guys coming in and out at all hours of the day. Next slide. Next slide, Chris. This purple line I just traced around, if you've been to the beach lately, sometimes you can't even hear your friends next to you because you're getting drowned out by some tour helicopters and tour airplanes. This is pretty much every coastal community across the state, I think, is dealing with these guys, and they've been trying to get the tour companies to be a little bit more courteous about the coastal communities and not flying their choppers near there, but you know, they don't care. So we're going to ask the FAA to kind of move them a little further offshore too. So next slide. This is what we're proposing to the FAA. Let's route the planes offshore so that way they don't have to fly over any of our neighborhoods, not waking everybody up. If they can bring the Maggie 3 and the Simon 1 in blue 5 miles offshore, I guarantee you're not going to hear it. Same with the departure in red. If they can stay 5 miles south of the South Shore, you're not going to hear the planes. Next slide, Chris. This is what we're proposing for the freeway route. Now this one's a little tougher. The smaller planes use it. I'm proposing that we ask the FAA to make this a route of last resort. Like try and route those smaller planes to those same runways that can be routed offshore, not flying over populated areas. If they can make it a path of last resort, I think they'll save all of us a lot of noise. If they can at least do that, I know in other airports, they've had curfews where like these planes have to come in during the day. They can't be flying over at night. They got to be more cognizant of the neighborhoods below that they're affecting. Next slide. And so this is what we're proposing for the tour copters and also the tour airplanes, that they stay at least 2 miles off the coast so they're not bothering anybody or any of our communities. Next slide. So there's a lot at stake here. They're not taking comments just from the community neighborhoods. They're taking comments from the commercial aircraft operators. They're taking comments from the military. They're taking comments from the tour operators. So they're going to take everyone's needs and kind of hopefully craft these flight paths that will, you know, service the most people possible. But we on the ground, we got to make our voices heard. That's why I've given most of you this flyer. There's a QR code that'll link you directly to the FAA's website. You can leave your comments there of how aircraft noise specifically is affecting your home and your neighborhood. We've left some suggestions there about specific flight paths if you want to reference those as well. But I think it's just very important that we get our voices heard, because I know the commercial operators are going to get their voices heard. We just kind of need to be a little bit louder from the ground. Next slide, Curtis. And this is an example of the flyer I handed out to you guys. It's got the problematic flight pass on the front and the QR code right next to it. If you flip it over on the back, it's got the proposals of the flight pass we'd like to see. So yeah, just take that home if you have some time tonight or sometime this week. Log into that QR code, leave your comments, and just let the FAA know how the airplanes are affecting you, okay? I think one more slide, Curtis. Yeah, and that's just for you folks at home that are coming in via web. That's the QR code I've been talking about to leave your comments with the FAA. So thank you very much for your attention, everybody. If you have any questions, I'll happily answer them.
All right. Who on the board has any questions about this? Go ahead, John.
I had a couple of questions. For me, I don't mind the commercial activity as much as I do the military aircraft. That really comes through low and loud through my area right outside of Lower Campus. So I was wondering, I noticed most of your hour is directed at commercial, but not really military. Is military going to be held to the same rules?
I don't know. I do know they're taking comments from the military. These flight paths I focused on were kind of like the main offenders that are doing it like all day long and every day. And I'm with you too. They're pretty loud over my house as well. Log in, leave that QR code, make a comment like, hey, these military jets are driving us crazy in my neighborhood too. So that, yeah, put that in your comments. I think they'd love to hear that too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who else?
I have a question. Thank you for coming from your community to our board meeting. I was wondering if you know when these flight paths were created, and that might be out of your scope of knowledge. but-
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell you how long they've been doing this. I know at least, every time I've flown in from the mainland, like, oh, okay, I'm flying over Kaneohe now, and now I'm over town, and like you can see the lights below, right? So it's as long as I can remember, but I can't tell you.
So one thing I'm thinking about is like the wind patterns, right? We have all these different winds. So there's probably a reason why they have the current flight path for safety and whatnot. And even if we were to go 2 miles out, there still is the possibility of the noise still traveling because of a wind, certain wind. That's all I'm thinking, but I was just curious in that way.
You're absolutely correct. So these flight paths I've kind of presented to you guys, this is what they call east flow, which is what the configuration at HNL is in like 95% of the time, when we're not getting a Kona wind. So like 90% of the time they're in this configuration I've been talking about now. You're absolutely right. The wind patterns change. Sometimes the flight paths got to change. I do know the FAA's, the first thing they're going to look at is safety anyway. So I'm going to leave that in their court. I know they'll take care of that. But as far as like the noise goes, I think we're the ones who need to kind of comment on how the noise is affecting us.
So I wanted to ask about a couple things. Can you explain again what you're calling for when it comes to tour helicopters?
Yeah, we would like them to stay off coast. We have a resolution over at Diamond Head. It's a little bit different. We're kind of asking for some protected airspace over Diamond Head because the tour choppers love that one too.
So what would you, like if you bought a helicopter package now after adopting, if your recommendations were adopted, what would you get with that?
I'm more concerned about our community.
No, that's
not
fine.
what
I'm
else.
just curious. Would that just mean that you're like,
Right. So I'm suggesting 2 miles because that's where we won't hear.
and it would not fly over the island at all?
Maybe there's some fudge room where they might want to come a little closer or whatever. This is like a starting point. Like let's start at 2 miles. I guarantee you won't hear it. I think we can operate in the same world, like the residents below and the tour helicopters, but people who live and are right at the beach, it's like you're under attack.
Oh, it's more just like, I'm just trying to think of like how that would actually work.
Right.
Because it also made me wonder if you had reached out to anyone in Kauai, which I find to be like the absolute worst place for helicopters of all the islands.
Yeah, I just got made aware of this like December. So I've been trying to get the word out as best I can. But yeah, I've been working with some folks on the windward side who've been fighting the tour helicopters for a while.
Right, in like Lanikai area, I think.
Yeah, so the fact that they're actively soliciting comments from us, from the FAA, is freaking awesome. This is kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity to help shape the airspace above our communities for probably a very long time.
And so the helicopters then, just to be clear, the only ones that would be flying over any part of the island would be like the emergency helicopters.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you they're going to take precedence over a noise complaint, but
Sure.
yeah.
Any other board questions?
No question, but I really want to thank you for coming out here. I tried filling out this survey a couple of weeks ago and was completely overwhelmed as what feedback to give. And I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know what to search. And so thank you so much for this information.
No, thank you. Yeah, I've been in contact with the FAA and I kind of asked them like, do you want something more specific, like which flight plans are the problems, or just like, I don't like airplanes over my house? They're like, yes, please be more specific about what the problem flight paths are. So that's why we gave you the suggestions. That's just a starting point. make it your own. Tell them how like your specific home is affected by the military jets or whatever. But those are just a starting point that we would suggest to you.
All right. Is there anyone online that has their hand raised, Curtis? All right. I think we should go to a vote. Did you print out the resolution? I forgot.
Yeah, I think I get a copy it to most of you.
Okay.
So what are we voting for? Sorry. My question is, what are we voting for?
Yes, Anwar, he's going to answer.
Yeah, this is a resolution to we'll deliver to the FAA to ask them to reroute those specific flight paths we talked about, the inbound one, the outbound one, the one that traces the freeway, and the tour helicopters.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarity. I understand.
We're voting on the resolution regarding the FAA Hawaii Airspace Modernization Project. Anna. Oh wait, who motioned to adopt it? Is there a motion on the floor?
I move the motion.
I'll second.
Quadri moves and Salas seconds. Aldana.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Johnson. Kachuk.
Abstain.
Abstain. Menina.
Aye.
Manerby.
Aye.
Hope. Quadri.
Aye.
Body absent. Salas.
Aye.
Wong. Young.
Aye.
And Lee. Sure, we have 11 votes, 11 aye votes, and 1 abstention.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me and help out with the effort and leave the comments to the FAA, please feel free to do so. And I do want to leave you all with just a little bit of homework. Fill out that flyer when you get home this week, okay? Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Chad. Okay, we have 2 more resolutions, and they're both connected to me. The first one, Representative Olds, I saw you just walk in. Great timing. You don't mind coming up the mic? You're making your face like you want to avoid it. So as you guys remember last month, Curtis, if you don't mind putting the resolution on the screen, Representative Olds came and he talked about the bills that he is working on, he's excited about, and so forth. And one of the bills that he's working on has to do with shopping carts, which is something that we have talked about quite a bit the past couple of years. So I was wondering, this basically is a resolution that would be in support of legislation that is currently moving through the House right now. And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the legislation and handle any questions for that.
Thank you, Chair. Just to first of all, thank the gentleman who was just speaking because the microphone was right at the perfect height. That's greatly appreciated. And 2, so this is not my resolution and it's not my bill, but I was a co-introducer on it. So just to kind of sum things up really quickly about the bill essentially empowers the counties to have the ability to obtain, so go and pick up and hold shopping carts. They're able to charge fines and fees to the vendors who the shopping carts have left their property. There's some language in there that kind of promotes, we want the businesses obviously to just install the mechanisms to help prevent the carts to leave their property in the first place. And then there's also a buyback method. So if a bunch of Sam's Club shopping carts get picked up by the City County of Honolulu, Sam's Club can buy back, essentially pay for the fee for them to be returned back to them. So we don't want to create more waste. I think dumping a whole bunch of shopping carts kind of seems beyond the point, but we also want to incentivize businesses that, like, hey, we want you guys to take responsibility for your property when it leaves your property and beyond its service. That's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? John, go ahead.
Can't you just make legislation to say that they have to install the devices? Isn't that a better way of directly dealing with this?
Thank you for that amazing question. And I had a bill that said exactly that. But I deferred to, so this bill came from the chair of the House Consumer Protections committee. So for people who are not aware of the House power dynamic, that's a pretty high, powerful position. And it was very well written. So he had obviously done his homework on it. And I think what he might be doing is testing the waters a little bit. Because the language doesn't explicitly make people have to install that technology, which they should, and I agree that they should. It does create a narrative where people can be like, well, it's going to increase costs because now the government is forcing businesses to have to do things. Not my opinion, but that's kind of the feedback of where some of the people who have taken a look at the bill were worried about.
Has said important person in government ask these companies directly, like, would you be open to doing something like that? And I've seen in the park behind my apartment, I've seen lots and lots of shopping carts, and I've seen some that from companies that I know install those devices. So to penalize somebody that might be actually implementing that, I don't think that's really fair. And on top of that, I think the more direct route would be to simply have a conversation with these companies at some point.
So I can't speak on behalf of Chair Matayoshi. He does do his homework, and he's very thorough when he does things. So again, the bill is written with a lot of thought. So he's obviously, it wasn't just I'm going to create a bill today and we'll see where it goes. So I would assume that he did. For myself, I had conversations with businesses in our district that have problems with this, and the feedback was not awesome. One business actually flat out said that it's too much money, and they ship shopping carts in by the container load. And so if they lose 15 shopping carts this week, it doesn't matter because they have hundreds that they can just pull from. So they basically don't want to have to pay to put like a locking mechanism on top of their wheels. They rather just keep shipping the containers over, and they waited out and thought that that's the more financial responsible way for them to go. But the bill does have a language in it that if you do go ahead and you put those mechanisms on, you don't have to pay the fines or fees if your carts were taken off the property. So that is an important part of that bill.
Okay, and just to clarify, you're saying that the larger companies that do deal with large volume shopping carts, those are the ones with the pushback and not the smaller ones?
I don't think anybody wants their shopping carts to leave, but for larger, especially like big box stores, they have the liquidity to be able to pay for things where they're already packing containers to ship things over here. For them to be able to pack up shopping carts into a container is not too far fetched versus like a smaller mom and pop's place, like would be a really good example that has probably less than 50 shopping carts to their store. But
Longs.
Plumbo Market is a really good example. Maybe even I forget what the Japanese store is in Nijia Market, where they don't have a whole lot. They would probably feel the impact of losing shopping carts a lot more acutely than a larger big box store. But in my version of the bill that I never submitted, we would have allotted that if the business only has this much or less, they wouldn't have been forced to have to put these mechanisms on, because obviously they don't want their shopping carts to leave their property.
Okay.
All right. Any other shopping cart questions for Rebels?
What about like in Europe where you put the coin into the cart to unlock it, and then if you want your coin back, or you have to give the cart back.
That's a fantastic idea. Maybe we can get some. I mean, we do it at airports, right? We already kind of. Oh, we don't get the money back anymore? Oh, okay. Well, things have changed. I only carry a 22 carry-on now, so because it's too expensive. But I mean, there's a lot of ideas, and so the main proponent behind this is we're getting something into legislation that we can build off of. Now, whether or not we invoke and force businesses to have to put the mechanisms on, that's another conversation later. If we have a put your dollar in and you get your dollar back after it's done, even better. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm gonna write that down on my notes.
All right, Michelle.
Yes, quick question. I just want to make sure I understand this. So to clarify, when you say leave the property of the business, you mean stolen?
Yes, I mean, I don't think any business will outright allow their shopping carts to leave their premises. So I don't want to say stolen, but if somebody accidentally walks off with it, or if they outright potentially steal it. Yes.
Okay,
A lot of hands
thank
up.
you
Okay.
for that. So right now, when they're stolen and they end up, on the streets or disposed of or in the streams, which of course we don't want, then they're just picked up by the counties and disposed of. And this bill will put in place a mechanism for if the businesses want their stolen property back, which might not be usable anymore to them anyway, they would have to pay a fine to get it back. So if they don't opt to do that, I'm not sure I understand how this is addressing the problem.
So the bill institutes fines. So for example, if we find a shopping cart from my store outside and the city comes in to pick it up and it has markings that say Ikaika store, I can induce a fine because my shopping cart is sitting on the sidewalk. Now I can make a determination of whether or not I want to pay. So the cities can take this bill and run with it if they choose to. So it doesn't make the cities have to do it. It gives them the power to do it if they want to. But the carts are not just thrown away; they're held, and at that point, Ikaika business I can reach out like, hey, I only have 5 carts. I need these back. I can pay the fine, and then I can hopefully put the mechanisms on so that they don't walk away anymore. And then if they do walk away, I don't have to pay any fines anymore, fines or fees.
Got it. Thank you. And are the counties, do they have the capacity to hold these instead of disposing of them?
I mean, I would have to leave that up to the counties to make that call. Here in Honolulu, we already kind of do it with the homeless sweeps. So we've built the capacity here to be able to do it. I can't say for the other counties.
And then how long would the businesses have do they have to hold it indefinitely, or is there a time period?
So from my recollection of the bill, I didn't see anything explicit in terms of timelines. The bill is still moving, so there's still a lot of opportunity for language to change. Offhand, I don't recall. There could very well be, but again, this wasn't my bill. I didn't author this.
Thank you for the clarifications. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Reynolds, I'm thankful that you're willing to come and explain all this, given that it's not your bill. And I just wanted to say that I made this resolution because I think it addresses something that's happening in our neighborhood. And like Reynolds says, there's time to go to the legislature and offer ideas and amendments to be put into it. But I did want to say, since I saw this directly connecting to a lot of the things that have coming up, a chance for us to kind of weigh in on that. So that's where I was coming from, and I appreciate you having the context. I know there's a couple people who have their hand raised here. Go ahead, Joanne.
Hi, Kaika. Sorry, I'm eating. So you're talking about penalizing the stores. What about the people who steal these carts? How come we don't work on getting them to repay the stores or doing something that penalizes them because they're stealing from the store? I mean, I don't see why a store has to be penalized because they're providing a service of a cart so that we don't have to carry it in our hands and we can take it to our car. So if we follow the rules, what the purpose is for that cart, and we know that, we're supposed to return it. But if you got people stealing the carts or stealing from the store, why don't you make bills that penalize them?
Thank you for the question, Joanne. I think that's pretty granular. And again, to pass a bill, it takes a lot of effort, and language needs to be just right. Because say we had this bill as it was, but then we included a clause into the bill that added penalties for that. If you're caught off the property with this, we are assuming stolen property, that now there's punitive measures against you as well. There's a chance that this bill wouldn't move because it now complicates the original intent. So we're while there's a kind of an umbrella, which is we don't want the shopping carts to get taken away. And yes, we could have a bill that adds punitive language to someone who has it. More oftentimes than not, a lot of times when shopping carts are found, they're found by themselves. And yes, you might see it with an individual on the street, but you can't prove that that person took that shopping cart. And unless you have that evidence, it just makes the bill a lot more complicated. But I mean, the main intent is if we can start putting locking mechanisms into the shopping carts, hopefully less of them walk away. And a good example here in Honolulu is you don't see Target shopping carts wandering around the neighborhood very often, if at all. Target is very hard. Their locking mechanisms are put into really, you can't even get into the elevator in the parking lot at Target. It's terrible. But a lot of businesses also put regulations on things that you, like the handheld carried baskets, you can't even take them out of the store. So they do that because they obviously don't want these things to walk away. Shopping carts are obviously meant to be loaded a little bit heavier. So now it's just, okay, how can we make sure that after you're done, it comes back and it doesn't leave the property? But punitive measures would just complicate this bill, and it would probably be causing this bill to die.
All right, Cam,
As a
go ahead.
liberals.
Yes, thank you. Cam Napier, I live in the neighborhood. I also have written about this issue for my day job at Aloha State Daily. I know this is not your bill, but maybe you can help explain something to me that mystified me, which is why a state law is required for the counties to take action. Couldn't the counties just pass an ordinance on their own if they thought this was a problem they wanted to deal with?
Oh Lord, okay. Yes. I think it would make a little bit more sense, and there are a lot of pieces of legislation, like my bills included, that would make a lot more sense if it came from the counties. I will leave it to the counties to be able to explain why it's not happening, but because we have the opportunity to kind of supersede them, and if we see a problem that's not being addressed by the counties, we have the prerogative to take action to try to rectify it.
All right.
And if this passes and they don't feel like doing anything with it, then what?
Then we're kicking rocks, I guess. I mean, again, the language doesn't force them to do anything. It just provides them the authority to do so. So they can take with it what they will. And again, depending on the counties, they have different resources available. So this, for some counties, may not be feasible.
All right,
right.
thank you.
Thank you very much. You already motioned to adopt it, right? All right, I'm motioning to adopt this resolution. Anyone is going to second?
Second.
All right. Let's go ahead and vote.
Aldana,
Nay.
Erickson, Johnson,
Aye.
Chuck,
Nay.
Menina,
Abstain.
Minervi,
Aye.
Minervi. Aye. Hope. Quadri.
Aye.
Robati's absent. Salas.
Abstain.
Wong. Young.
Aye.
And Lee. Chair, the resolution has been adopted 7-2-3.
All right. We have our final resolution of the night. Curtis, I have some pictures that are in a folder online. This is another resolution that relates to a previous conversation that we had back in September. And this was specifically about the two Alawai parks and the maintenance of the fields that are there. To recap, for those of you guys that do not remember, we had some challenges with the parks actually being kept up. This was with regards to there being holes in the fields themselves, there being multiple places where there was no grass growing any longer, really significant difficulties with regular irrigation. And the subsequent meeting, we were lucky enough to have someone from Parks and Rec come to the meeting. And her name is Tara, and she gave us some positive news that over the winter time, I would say, I guess, starting on Christmas time and all of January, they would be closing the park to address these situations and remedy some of the challenges that were on the field. That was something that I think fell short of what we were looking for. One of the things that you guys might recall came up is that we asked if there would be fencing. I don't know how many of you guys visit these parks, or lots of people are using these parks and traversing all the time. And there was a verbal, I will look into this fencing thing. And then actually I followed up with Tara afterwards and asked her, can you please put fencing in to protect this? And she said yes. And the fencing never went up. And so I would say for a number of parts of January, I was going between her and some of the advocates that had helped me with the resolution earlier to essentially say like what happened, like we didn't get fencing. As you can see, there's significant areas where the fields are still not addressed. There's still holes. Sorry, Curtis, if you don't mind able to go through some of these pictures. These pictures were taken in January. And I think most, yeah, you can see there's still issues that don't actually look like they were able to address the challenges that were making the fields not really safe for people to do athletic stuff, such as running and sliding, you know, kicking a ball and so forth. So I'm pretty frustrated about the fact that the park was closed for, or these two parks were closed for 6 weeks. The fields were closed for 6 weeks, but I don't feel like the underlying conditions of the park were actually changed during that time. And when they were trying to do some of the reseeding stuff, this was like, I would say the last week of January, that was right before the park was supposed to reopen, which I think many of you guys who know how grass works knows that it needs to be protected for a long period of time so that people are not just going to be trampling all over that. So this resolution that I put forth is essentially asking for a plan so that we know exactly what they're going to do with the park, how they're actually going to fix the irrigation, asking them to present the plan here, give a timetable, so we can actually hold them accountable, because unfortunately this is not the first time that they have said that they will improve the park. The advocates, the community advocates that I spoke with said they'd previously gotten confirmation from Parks and Rec before that they were going to field it, they were going to close down the park and so forth over Christmas break. They were going to address these situations, and then they were not addressed. So it's a little bit more of a heavy-handed approach to ask them to please tell us how they're going to fix this park. So that's why I'm calling for it. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. All right.
After this ask, do we just start going out there and learning how to do it?
One option. We do have community garden people here. Maybe they can help us with the grass part. Is there anyone online that has commentary? Okay. All right. I will motion to adopt this resolution.
I second.
Does anyone object to us telling Parks and Rec to please help our parks be better? All right. I think we're good on this one. All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone, for all these resolutions. I think we had some really great discussion, and I loved hearing from everyone. I encourage everyone on this board, if you have stuff that you feel strongly about, please let me know, and let's put it on the stuff for resolutions, because this is the one way that we can really articulate our voice in a larger way. We bumped up community concerns this month because we've been not having time for that. So if anyone wants to come to the mic, you have a minute, just share who you are and what's bringing you here. And then we'll go into elected officials. So come up to the mic and we'll go from there. Okay, 2 minutes. Go ahead, Betsy.
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, good evening, and thank you very much. And I'm glad that Ikaika was here to explain the House bill for the shopping.
Can you come closer to the mic?
Yes, I'm very glad that Ikaika was here to talk about the House bills for the shopping carts. For the last couple of years, as you know, I've been basically focused on the homeless issues around public areas. The first one was Makiki Stream. Recently, or actually, that's not true. The last 3 years, when Councilperson Say was here, we were talking about bus stops, basically the one in front of this, the building residential I live in, 1670 Kalakaua. And I went through numerous discussions with various people. And the last time, as you said, there was not enough time. I was able to discuss this and put this in on and wrote directly to nco@honolulu.gov. And our only request was to have somebody representative to come by the bus stop to examine it so that we can get their feedback on what particular improvements can be made. So our proposal for the improvements were to have like a cover on the rubbish bin so that the people, the homeless persons or whoever will not toss the rubbish out and throw it in their private area. And also that there is something that's like very relevant to what Ika Ika is doing, safety and bus stops. That is to deter the loitering of people, the homeless, basically
30 seconds.
basically sitting there and loitering our area, causing disruption to private properties. So my question is, after I had sent in the information last month, can we expect to have somebody come by our property and the bus stop? That's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if the board is able to answer, but we hear you, Betsy. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Laura.
Laura Ribby. My concerns are, this is maybe because you turned the thing on the head with community concerns around a little bit, so have to be addressed also to the mayor's rep too. For example, with a proposed bridge, there has been no designated acreage to the public for every land that is taken away from any park area at all. The same comparable amount must be dedicated in park space, well-funded park space in the neighborhood. And that means it's more than the 0.91 that they're suggesting is there. It's considerably more because it has to do with the on and off ADA ramps and all of that other kind of thing. Across the way in Waikiki, they're owed something the size of an aircraft carrier as a park also. So this is very important that we have, this is part of our right to have this park acreage addressed in our community. And second of all, the also that is not addressed is the infrastructure, that is mainly the drainage infrastructure, because there's a single box drain that's under there now, and it probably needs a double box drain and a whole lot of other infrastructure that needs to go on to make sure that there's drainage. Okay, we just had a modest storm. We didn't have a heavy storm. And you know that we are going to shed water all the way down. And what I want to say is to May 11th, I would hope that all of you would come to the Alawai
30 seconds.
Watershed collaboration. I tried to say this last time too. March 11th, sorry, at about 1:30. I think it's at the Kamehameha School building across from the community center. And we'd like people from the bottom up to be responsible for what we want to do in the community regarding the watershed. We are in the watershed. We're also in a very low-lying area of the watershed. And it would be very important if you folks could come and take place. I probably have.
All right,
things-
thank you, Laura. That's time. Appreciate it. All right, go ahead, Representative Bellotti.
Aloha. Thank you, board members, and to the community for allowing me to be here. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Della Albalati. I'm the state representative for the Makiki, Tantalus, Punchbowl, Papakolea area. I have actually represented portions of this district in the last 20 years. I'm here because I wanted to introduce myself to the board members and to the community. I will be vacating my seat at the end of November, and I am running for Congress. So I just wanted to introduce myself and be available. You will see that I'll be walking, talking to members. You can visit and learn more about me at my website at dellabellotti.com. And I'm just here to listen. I really appreciate all the work, seeing the community come forward to advocate on the FAA modernization project. It's huge. I was part of watching that briefing going out. So I really appreciate what the community does and how we can connect county, community, state to the federal. And I'm really looking forward to the work ahead. So thank you. And I'm available for any questions.
All right, Rep. Sayama.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, members of the public. My name is Jackson Sayama, and I'm also here to introduce myself as a candidate to represent you in the state Senate. Currently, I represent my district, District 21, St. Louis Heights, Pololo, Kaimuki, in the State House of Representatives for the past 6 years, and it's been an honor serving them. But this year, I am putting my foot forward to run for the state Senate. I was born and raised on St. Louis Heights. I grew up learning how to ride a bike at Old Stadium Park. So this has really been my community my entire life. As in the House, I've been serving as chair of the Labor Committee. So I've been working on issues of workforce development, paid family leave, and of course, any issues dealing with collective bargaining and with the unions. But really, my passion has been trying to build a Hawaii that local families can thrive and the children can continue to stay in Hawaii. You know, I ran for office initially because so many of my families, my classmates were leaving Hawaii. And I couldn't stand by and watch that happen. So I really wanted to fight for a future where local folks like us can really thrive here. And that's what I plan to do as a candidate, as a senator. So I look forward to getting to know you, and don't be a stranger. I'll be here every month, and I'll be at the door on the side of the street waving sign. I look forward to getting to know you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Are there any other community concerns? All right, go ahead, Senator Ihara.
I'll take this opportunity to, I guess I'm wearing both hats, but I'll say that as a senator, I welcome Jackson. I want to thank him for running, and I want everyone, we want to show what democracy looks like, and it's how you treat your adversaries. And Hawaii, we love each other no matter where we stand. So this is an opportunity. Usually politics is a more of a considered a nasty sport, but I think we have an opportunity. Thank you to Jackson, and there'll be others running too. Della, and usually politicians, they try to not have competition, but I think we're in an era where we want to empower the community so that the community selects the representatives, not the other way around. And I have to leave, and so he can use it against me, but we won't. But I've got to go back and do some, just a joke, to do some work. But I wanted to thank you. You can reach me anytime. I have my staff year round, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can email me or come by. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Hector, are you coming on behalf of Senator Fukunaga or Fukunaga?
As a person.
Okay.
First of all, I want to congratulate Mr. Watson. I live in Manoa, and every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, I can hear the airplanes coming and waking you up. And especially when there is the air carrier, they are the ones who really make a lot of noise. So I do welcome your resolution, and I'm asking all of us to pass the word out. In other words, let's not keep it a secret. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else? All right. Good to hear from everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't think Steve is here for Board of Water Supply, but I know that
Oh, yeah. Are
Dan.
you going to ask people online?
All right. Go ahead, Joanne.
Okay, wait, let me do my stopwatch. Okay, so anyway, my problem is I've been bringing this up and I didn't join earlier, so maybe the police officers gave some input, but it's about the parking and the homeless situation. And what the problem is really is all our representatives that you can't get a hold of, like Scott Nishimoto and Dele Bellotti. I know you're running, but I called you years and years and you never answered. So, you running for the Senate makes me wonder, like, if you're not going to answer your constituents, then why would I vote for you? If you can give me a good answer of why I should vote for you after I've called you like years and you haven't answered, then maybe I'll think about it. But as of now, I find that all these politicians only come out when they want to get a vote or they want to move up to a different position. And I don't want that. I want somebody who's going to do something to change this neighborhood, to make it better, and to fight for us, and not for us to have to chase down all our representatives to try to do something for us. I'm not I'm in a liberal state, unfortunately. So my thinking is not nearly, it doesn't represent a lot of the people here. But I feel that a lot of it here, the people's thinking here is so passive that nothing gets done. And our representatives are the same way too. I want somebody who's going to fight for us and fight for change and make the change, not lip service. So that being said, I hope something can be done about our area, because the parking situation will get really out of hand when all these affordable housing comes up. And we already still have problems with the homeless in our park. I'm watching, don't worry. So anyway, I would like to get people to actually answer and give us a solution, not just say, oh, well, it's a difficult situation. We know it's difficult. We want answers. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you everyone else for sharing. Okay, sorry that I missed your question earlier. Like I said, I don't think Board of Water Supply is here, but I know though that Dan is here, so go ahead, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Dan Brick. To start the update, I just want to talk about HNL 311 system. This is was launched in December, and it's a way for residents to report issues in their communities, and they can be fixed and addressed by the city. So residents can submit requests for service via the HNL 311 app. It's available for Apple and Android devices, or you can visit hnl311.com. And the system's intuitive. It's easy to navigate. I've used it myself. It's very quick and easy to submit issues. You can attach photos, provide a brief description. And what's great about it is the issue will get routed directly to the city department who has oversight of the issue. So it really makes it easier for the city to be aware of these issues, and it routes it directly to the department. And I know one of the issues has been the turnaround time for responses in the neighborhood board, but using this app, you should get answers more quickly because it improves efficiency. So it's a great app, and I recommend that everybody give it a shot. It's very easy and straightforward. So moving on, this highlights from the mayor's newsletter. Kahuku District Park proposed renovations, celebrating Black History Month in Honolulu. Honolulu Fire Department celebrates 175 years of service. Ocean Safety Department's new Deputy Chief, Jimmy Barros. There's a new off-leash dog park opening in Makiki. And then new UV system protects Kailua waters. And that was a wastewater treatment plant improvement. So all these can be found online at honolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter. So getting into last month's issues, so there was concern about the A line and U line bus service. Can the city change the signage on these routes to only letter A and U? The current A line and U line signage on the bus is difficult to see. So the official names are the bus A line and U line. So their head signs will remain. The purpose of the line portion of the names signifies that they are main connector routes to Skyline. So DTS will assess options to optimize the clarity of the head signs. Second question, can the city consider extending the A line and U line bus service to Kalihi Transit Center and the airport? So DTS will evaluate the requested extension of the bus line A line and U line to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport Station in the future. In addition to needing sufficient budget and resources available to operate the service extension, infrastructure improvements, and Hawaii Department of Transportation Airports Division approval will be required. A priority for A line and U line is efficient, expedited travel times, and there is no direct route between Lagoon Drive Station and the Kalihi Transit Center. So in addition, eastbound access to the H1 freeway from the Kalihi Transit Center is it is cumbersome and time consuming. As such, the bus A line and U line will not connect to the Kalihi Transit Center. Next question, can the U line bus service frequency increase to 30 minutes on weekends and be added on weekends and state holidays? So effective Sunday, March 1st, the frequency of the bus U line will increase and operate every 40 minutes. However, due to limited resources, there are no plans to implement U line service on weekends and state holidays at this time. And can the city consider extending the U line bus service to connect to the airport with UH Manoa and Waikiki? So as stated, in the second question of this section, DTS will evaluate the requested extension of the bus U line to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport Station, but DTS will not extend the U line to Waikiki. The bus W line, Airport to Waikiki, currently operates frequent limited stop service between the airport station and Waikiki, and Route 13 offers a connection between UH Manoa and Waikiki. Moving on to the next issue, 1649 and 1670 Kalakaua Avenue bus stop benches. So the first concern, can these bus stop benches be replaced by the modern green metallic benches? And currently there's concrete benches at those stations. DTS staff conducted an on-site investigation on February 12th, 2026 at the bus stops at 1649 and 1670 Kalakaua Avenue and confirmed the existing bus stop benches to be in good condition. As such, it's determined that the existing bus stop benches do not need to be replaced at this time. So moving on, I have a couple more questions on those bus stops. Okay, so can HPD monitor these bus stops for illegal activity, including but not limited to drug use, loitering, storing property and shopping carts, and defecating, urinating at the bus stops? So from February 3rd to 11th, 2026, District 1 patrol officers conducted checks throughout the day and night to address the complaints of illegal activity occurring at the bus stops at 1649 and 1670. During their checks, officers found the bus stops and surrounding areas clear of individuals and stored properties. They observed no illegal activities such as drug use, loitering, and defecating or urinating at the bus stops. So officers did find several shopping carts left unattended. They were no longer there when subsequent checks were made. So officers will continue to make checks in the area and take appropriate enforcement action when violations occur. So if you want to report any illegal drug activity that you observe, you may contact HPD Narcotics Vice Division at 808-723-3933. And of course, if you need immediate assistance, you can call 911 so officers can be immediately dispatched. There was another concern at that bus stop. So can DFM install new trash bins at these bus stops and discourage people from dumping bulky items? Also, can DFM increase the frequency of emptying these trash bins? Who should residents contract if the trash bins are full at the bus stop? Can DFM power wash the benches and sidewalks at these bus stops? And there's been reports of defecating and urination at these bus stops. So DFM did complete a washdown of the 1670 bus stop last week. And the other concerns are still being evaluated by DFM. And our response will be forthcoming on that. Okay, and it jumped around. Okay, so there was a concern, Varsity Circle, can the city work with the state to clean the street and sidewalks along Varsity Place and Varsity Circle, especially the freeway underpass? So DFM is evaluating that, and a response will be forthcoming. Varsity Place street parking. Can the city cite abandoned vehicles along Varsity Place? So from February 5th to 13th of 2026, District 7 patrol officers conducted checks on Varsity Place. Officers marked 6 vehicles as abandoned and issued citations for delinquent vehicle tax and expired safety check. The public is advised to immediately call 911 to report violations at the time they observe so that an officer can be dispatched to address those issues. If a specific vehicle is reported, the motor vehicle control section of CSD's Division of Motor Vehicles will send an inspector to investigate the reported vehicle for potential abandonment. And it would be able to cite for expired registration expired safety inspection, and abandonment at that time. Any non-reported random patrols of a neighborhood for those activities are the responsibility of HPD. Okay, so Hallow Place Mini Park, can HPD patrol the area by the mini park? The residents and pedestrians and park users are noticing encampments, foul odors, and people sleeping on the sidewalk in this area. Sorry. So from February 5th to 13th, District 7 all-terrain vehicle enforcement team made checks at the mini park. 2 individuals were cited for park rule violations. A small encampment was observed outside the park area near the intersection of Kylo Place and Varsity Place. The individuals were advised to remove their belongings and they complied. The area was cleared with no further incidents. So the public is advised to call 911 to report encampments or related concerns as they occur. Okay, and I think that's it. Yes, that's everything for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We appreciate it. All right. We have some follow-ups. Go ahead, John.
Actually, I forgot about the Colo Mini Place one, but or the Colo Mini Park, but I'd love to ask some questions about that. My home is right there in front of it, and there have been a lot of incidents since then. We've had 2 fire trucks in the last week and a half out there for incidents inside the park. The police are called almost daily by multiple people in the neighborhood. We have one thing that I'm wondering is, at one point years ago, the Humane Society took over, I thought, responsibility for the park to put in the dog enclosures. Right now, those dog enclosures are used by the homeless. I have 2 dogs, and we don't use the park. We have multiple people in the neighborhood that don't use the park anymore because they go in there. There are pit bulls that are off leash. There are pit bulls that are on leash. There's a lot of issues with the dogs that are kept in there. It's just personal pens for houseless individuals. So this has been going on for a long time. It goes beyond just that. We tried to get the rules changed for the hours of operation years ago, and the main thing that we were told by Department of Parks and Rec was, we have lights in that park. We don't want it to close before 10. We want it open until 10. There's absolutely nobody using that park after dark. Well, there are, but not for, bring their dogs in. We also don't have lights anymore. What they don't talk about is the lights they've stripped out the electric there. I think it's been gone for a year or so. So it's really in disrepair. So something needs to be done with the park. But I was wondering if there's any, what happened to the Humane Society? Do they have any Kuleana there? I mean, they don't seem to want that anymore. The prior CEO, I think, was involved with that. But, we don't understand as a neighbor, the neighborhood there, we don't understand who's responsible for that park. So if you could find out more about, is there a role for the Humane Society there? Do we approach them about the problems that we have?
Yeah, sure. I can bring that back. And obviously the lights going out, not being stripped, that's an issue too. Sure.
Dan, if it makes sense for the representative that you would contact to get the information from, just to present at the meeting, that's also fine.
Okay.
So, that'd be good. All right. Who else? Kayla Helani?
Yes, I had a question. It might be more for someone from the other department. Something was brought up, I think it was in the November neighborhood board meeting, about a potential lane elimination on Eisenberg from Kapi'olani to King Street. So if we can follow up on that or get an update, because I know there was a lot of concerns from the community that there was no, I guess, feedback that they were able to give, or what research was done from the people that use that street often. So.
Okay. Yeah, I we'll see where that's at.
Did DTS talk about that last month? I thought they talked about some of the stuff on Eisenberg last month.
I don't know about Eisenberg, but I remember they talked about Alawai Alawai Boulevard. Or sorry, what is that, Date Street and the
Right,
widening.
that
of-
stuff definitely.
Yeah, but this was I don't recall them talking about Eisenberg.
Okay,
Maybe they-
all right, we can see if we can follow up with that a different way.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Okay, all right, Justin, you had a question?
Thank you, Dan. As always, I like asking you questions about transportation. The first is with regard to the HNL 311 app. Among the service requests, can the community request, the repainting of faded or misfaded crosswalks?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I guess as a quick anecdote, can the community, when they submit that, when an individual community member submits that request, I'm assuming it's based on their DTS's repaving timeline. If a crosswalk is severely faded and any resurfacing takes maybe within a year or two, is it possible DTS could work with a community organization to do temporary surface treatments like using non-thermoplastic white paint just as a temporary solution before more permanence?
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility. We'd have to check with DTS on that. But yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you,
And-
Dan. Or,
Sorry,
go ahead, Justin.
one more question regarding the underpass of H1 by University. Would it be possible to inquire? I think it's probably with HDOT if community organizations are allowed to paint murals under the overpass installation. I think at Kahi Palama by Vineyard, there were murals that were done there during the Worldwide Arts Festival, but I'm not sure if HDOT still permits that or if they're working with DTS.
All right. Laura, if you're going to say something, come to the mic and please keep it short because we are going to run out of time soon.
Many years ago, we had both underpasses cleaned and painted and put a simple Kappa design on, and it was paint was given by the city and county, and then some individuals decided they didn't want it anymore, and they painted over, and then people started to say, "Why does it look so crummy?"
Okay. All right. So Dan, if you're able to find out more about that, that'd be great.
Sure.
Joanne, go ahead.
So, you talked about, I'm just going to touch upon these three things, the DFM, the DTS, and the police. The DFM, there's not enough of the DFM people working there. There's only like one group, so it takes forever to get anything done. That needs to be increased. DTS takes years to do anything too, so I've called and called and called. I give up. They need to have more members, or I don't know what that's a problem. I mean, why we have to keep calling over and over and over. And as far as the police are concerned, there are not enough police as well too. And as far as abandoned cars are concerned, I called about abandoned cars and parked cars and no parking area, towaway zones. But you know what? Some of them are just too. I'm not running the police down, but they don't.
Joanne, we were really
they don't
running
want
out
to
of
give a
time, so
ticket.
can you get to your question?
So
Just get to
the question is, because of all these, there's not enough people working for us. That's why the problem continues to grow. And police they will not take the abandoned cars.
Can you ask
because
your
it takes
question?
too long. So what my question is, what can you do to fix this? So we don't have to keep calling over and over for the same problems year after year after year after year.
Okay. Dan is noting your question. Thank you for truncating it.
Where's
All
my
right.
answer?
All right. Curtis is suggesting that you use 311. That will help you things be faster. Okay.
I
I'm
do not
sorry.
think
we have
I've
to
done,
move
I've done
along.
everything.
I recognize that. We have to move on. All right. So thank you, Dan, for coming.
Thank you.
Taylor, go ahead if you're here.
Aloha, Chair and Board. Thank you for hosting this meeting tonight. Councilmember Nishimoto sends his regards. So really quick, we're excited to partner with Department of Parks and Recreation for a park cleanup at Ala Moana Regional Park on the Kamake'e side on Sunday, March 8th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. DPR will be bringing all necessary supplies and refreshments, and we'll be providing refreshments. So please feel free to show up. We'd love to have you folks. And then with Morgan in partnership with Representative Della Albalati, we will be hosting our annual free tax clinic at the Hawaii State Library on Saturday, March 14th, starting at 9:30 a.m. This is a reservation-only event. You're welcome to call Rep. Bellatti's office or our office to help you with scheduling or reaching out to Vita Tax Help. And just wanted to follow up on a couple of things. So in response to the maintenance of Alawai Park, I know that there are a few concerns there, so please feel free to reach out with us. We'd love to host a park cleanup with DPR there as well. Granted, you know, one park cleanup is not going to change the course of park maintenance, but it is like a step in the right direction, having more officials out there and doing more work. My boss would love to host one with DPR, so please reach out to us if you're interested in doing that. And then in response to Betsy Carmura's concern, we did have a Kalakaua South King Street walkthrough last year per her request. She wasn't able to attend that walkthrough, but since then we've also done multiple risers in response to her request regarding the trash can. We did actually, you know, specifically request for them to look into different forms of trash cans next to the bus stations there. So we haven't really received a specific update on those, but we are monitoring those requests. But otherwise, I'm happy to take anything back to my boss, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor. And thank you for letting us know about your upcoming cleanup and the other possible cleanup at McCully Parks. Does anyone have any questions for Councilmember Nishimoto's office or Taylor? All right, go ahead, Joanne.
So when are you cleaning Mōʻiliʻili Stadium Park and also the Mōʻiliʻili baseball field?
Oh, so we actually did hold Old Stadium Park cleanup, and we have done baseball field. We can actually schedule a baseball field one specifically. We did Old Stadium Park last year. We kind of want to rotate through all the parks in our district so that we're able to touch everything. But I would be happy to schedule that at some point, especially the bathrooms. We did paint the bathrooms maybe 2 years ago. So that is something that, you know, it does need proper upkeep.
How can you stop this from happening over and over? That's an issue that we tried to talk to Nishimoto about. Merle and I have been discussing this with each other about all the homeless issues there, and their homeless are actually going to Merle's car garage. So it's been very troublesome for him. He's actually been chasing them down because they're in his garage when his girlfriend is coming home late at night, which is very dangerous because he lives right across the street from the stadium park. So how do you stop this from happening over and over and over? And this is the question I've been asking. The same old thing for 10 years, the same old solutions, nothing new. So how can we get, you know, doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result is crazy. So how can we come up with some different solution that I have suggested, but no, they won't do it?
Well, we have done different solutions such as the Honu project, and that was something big, right, in that central area of Old Stadium Park. So, well, there was actually police presence throughout that project. Through that project, they did approach everyone in that vicinity multiple times to bring them into the project. So even if you might not think anything was done, but they had really tried to push homeless people in the area into the Honu project to really try to push them into the right direction, into going into shelter.
I think it should be by force, not by choice, because they actually are breaking the law. If you see the sign, there's an ordinance there that says no tents, no loitering, no littering, and what else? No alcohol, this and that, and drugs, whatever. But they're breaking every single law. So I don't understand how people who are breaking the law get to be asked to move into shelter. I thought they need to be forced to go into shelter if they're breaking the law. The bottom line is they're breaking the law.
And we don't disagree with you on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanne, for your comments. And thank you, Taylor, for coming to our meeting. We appreciate it. and we're going to move on. I do not think that Gary is here. He said he was working on some testimony right now. We heard from Senator Ihara earlier. Senator Fukunaga's office.
Thank you, Chair, members. Last January, we received a call from the principal at Ka'ahumanu, Queen Ka'ahumanu Elementary. They're having they still have a problem where the homeless they go into the playground and the school grounds, and they either defecate or leave their drug paraphernalia, or just try to use the electricity that is available to charge the phones. So we visited, looked around, and every day the keepers of the school clean all of this mess. So what has been done is that we submitted a CIP to build a higher fence so people cannot, homeless cannot go over it. It has been used in other schools, like Lijo School, well, anyway, middle school, I don't speak Hawaii, I'm sorry. Likolani School. So that funding will be used to help protect the premises. Also, she has been working on legislature to update condominium property insurance. It has been found out that the many older condominiums in the urban Honolulu, their premiums have been raised. And some of that, it's not affordable for some of these people who are elderly on fixed income. So there are several bills that will address those issues. It is for restricted long-term affordable rentals. It is to address the higher monthly maintenance fees. I will not read every bill, but they are SB 2433, SB 2945, 2950. They relate to condominiums and insurance. In your flyer newsletter, all that information is there. And for the audience who is watching and want to know more about it, we do have a website, neighbor-to-neighbor.news, and all of that information is available there.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for coming, Hector. Does anyone have questions for Hector / Senator Fukunaga's office?
If you have questions, I can wait
Sure.
because of the time element.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any questions, but thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone from Senator Moriwaki? I think Charles is online.
Aloha, everyone. Charles from Senator Moriwaki's office. Apologies she couldn't be here. You have our report. It's in the Google Drive. I just posted the link. If you have any questions, I can field them right now. Take it back to her as well. Thanks.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Senator Moriwaki's office? I don't think so. All right. Thank you, Charles, for
Thank
coming.
you.
We appreciate it. All right. Moving on to representatives. I don't know if Representative Garrett or anyone from his office is online. You know, Curtis? All right. Ikaika, it's your time to come up again. Thank you for coming to our meeting in person.
To do this. Cindy Kaiko Olds, House District 23. Aloha again, everybody. I don't have my jacket on because it's hot. Gonna keep this fast. All of my bills are still moving with the exceptions of 3, which was the protecting healthcare workers, term limits. Term limits, unfortunately, didn't make it, and allowing psychologists to be able to prescribe but everything else is still moving. So I'm very thrilled to be able to announce that. In the chat, I put my newsletter and the ability for you to sign up for our email blast. And I just want to share one thing today that has nothing to do with what I'm doing personally, but I thought it would be pertinent concerning what we were talking about earlier in the meeting. And that's HB 1919 and SB 2981. So both of these bills, so I should have got this in the mail a couple days ago. So both of these bills appertain to housing and parking. And I just want to bring this to the people's attention because these could definitely impact our neighborhoods in a very negative way. Already parking is prime. And while the narrative could be, well, we want to have people using mass transit, until we start connecting all those dots, people are driving. And unfortunately, the case in point is what's happening right on the other side of the block over here, which is the affordable housing unit. And from what I was told, almost everyone in that building has cars with zero parking. So fantastic. We were reaching our goals here. But for these bills, essentially what they would do is they would prop up what the city and county Bill 7 currently has, which basically says things like affordable housing projects, you can go underneath the minimum requirement for parking, which would be 1 parking per unit, to 0.5 or even none. So I think that's very dangerous. And I was very surprised that in the body, when we took a vote last week, that almost nobody voted no except for myself and one other. So I'm going to be calling on my my coworkers to be able to take a better look at the bill, as I believe we might be setting ourselves up for failure. Now I understand this is statewide, so the other neighbor islands could have different environments for housing, and this may not be an issue. But for here, District 23, this could be a big problem until we fix all our mass transit problems. So definitely something for you guys to take a look at. I'll be here for any questions.
All right. Any questions for Rep. Olds?
Could you repeat the name of the two bills? I only got down one.
HB 1919, and in the Senate we have Senate Bill, so SB 2981. So 2981 actually appertains to urban areas, which is us.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming and for helping us with the shopping cart stuff earlier. All right. I think Rep. Tam is online.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me. The legislative session is moving forward very well. I have several priority bills. I think the biggest one that affects this district the most would be House Bill 1588. It was featured in the Star Advertiser, but it has everything to do with making our noise camera pilot program permanent and allowing the DOT to begin issuing fines to those nuisances going through our neighborhood. I'm going to keep this short so that I'm open to any kind of questions since I know you're running behind on schedule.
All right. Do you want to just tell us where that bill is currently right now, Rep. Tam?
It's currently in the Finance Committee, and it has yet to be scheduled for a hearing, but we do have some times. And I did send them a request for a hearing, yes.
Did they end up finishing the pilot program? I think they were going to do a pilot program or just kind of collect data for towns.
So the pilot program was established in 2023 and they finally installed it early this year. And right now they're in the data collecting segment. But the data collecting segment shouldn't take that long. So that's why I introduced this bill to make it permanent and for them to begin issuing fines once the bill is passed and signed into law.
All right. Any other questions for Representative Tam? Okay. Thank you very much for coming and sharing with us about that bill. All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Just a note about next month's meeting. As you guys know, sometimes February and March look very similar, but then March has some extra days. So we're not meeting on the 23rd of March. We're meeting on the 30th of March. Okay. So we have extra time to get stuff on the agenda. If people have stuff that they want to have on there, the same week that Chick-fil-A said they'll open and Good Friday is that week. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I guess we're done a couple minutes early. Appreciate everyone coming and voting on a lot of stuff.